The Crusaders for 3 years marched across the whole of Europe and the Middle East, and now, finally, they approached the walls of Great Jerusalem. Of that huge army that set out from Europe, only a small part arrived. Out of tens of thousands of people, about 15,000 reached the city, and only a little more than 1,000 of them were knights on horses. They were all exhausted, hungry, but their fighting spirit did not fall. The city of Jerusalem is defended by only a small Muslim garrison, about 1,000 soldiers and the armed residents of the city. A few days before the decisive assault, the Crusaders fast for 3 days and hold a procession around the city walls to raise their fighting spirit before the final attack. After a few weeks of siege, Jerusalem falls, and its capture will remain in history as one of the most brutal battles of the Middle Ages. Hundreds and thousands of residents will die in it.
And now we will change one very important detail. A couple of days before the assault, a modern American infantry brigade, consisting of several thousand soldiers, appears on the walls of the city. The first minutes are just chaos. The soldiers do not understand where they are and what happened. Communication does not work. GPS does not answer. On the horizon is a desert and stone walls instead of the usual landscape. The commanders quickly understand that something impossible has happened, and the only thing they can do is occupy positions and figure it out on the spot. In their arsenal is modern American weaponry: M240 machine guns, Javelin anti-tank missiles with a thermal imaging sight, 60mm and 81mm mortars, sniper complexes with thermo optics, and reconnaissance drones. Most importantly, this brigade has no connection with the modern world. There is no arrival of help, no way back. All ammunition is limited, and it cannot be replenished. This will be one of the main problems of the American soldiers.
The first reconnaissance drone rises into the air just an hour after the appearance of the brigade. From the height, everything is visible: the Crusader camps, siege weapons, thousands of people and horses stretched around the city for kilometers. The command of the brigade understands that they turned out to be right in the center of one of the most famous events of the Middle Ages. The assault will be commanded by Godfrey of Bouillon, the main leader of the crusade. Along with him will be another detachment under the command of another major commander who will attack from the other side of the city. In the plans of the Crusaders is to build siege towers and battering rams right on the spot from disassembled ships that docked in a neighboring port. The fighting spirit of the Crusaders is simply white hot. 3 years of travel, hunger, losses of loved ones and comrades, cases of cannibalism among those who lag behind during the march. For many Crusaders, the assault on the city is the religious goal of their whole life, for the sake of which they went on this campaign.
A small reconnaissance detachment of Crusaders stumbles upon the positions of the brigade at night, even before the start of the main assault. This is the first meeting of two worlds separated by 1,000 years. A few shots into the darkness, and the scouts run back with cries about demons and fiery arrows that kill without a spear and without a sword. The night attack with ladders is repelled by M240 machine guns and thermal imagers. The attacking troops do not even see where they are shooting from. When the Crusaders begin to move siege towers to the walls, the American javelins destroy them from a distance of 2 to 3 kilometers. From the side, it looks as if it is a strike without a shot and without a visible reason. Mortar fire simply erases all the infantry even before the moment it reaches the walls of Jerusalem. The Crusaders try another tactic, an attack under the cover of night, in small groups, without noise, without torches. But thermal imagers see them from afar, and every such attempt ends the same way: dozens of bodies on the approach to the walls, and not a single chance to even understand what happened. In the day when historically the city fell, Godfrey's assault fails, and his column is destroyed by sniper and machine gun fire. The second commander loses all his siege towers in the same way. The javelin leaves no chance for survival.
The Crusaders realize that for the first time since the beginning of the entire campaign, they are suffering a real military defeat. Godfrey gathers the remaining commanders for a council. For the first time, words are heard that the campaign may end in failure. The defenders of the city believe that this is some kind of miracle or magical people who are protecting them, and no one understands what is happening. The language barrier does not allow the American soldiers and the residents of the city to communicate directly. Several days pass in complete silence between the brigade and the garrison. Both sides observe each other, not daring to make the first step. Each released javelin missile or mortar shell is a big loss, because during a long siege, the ammunition will sooner or later run out. The commanders of the brigade begin to keep a strict account of every bullet and every missile. Snipers are ordered to shoot only at the most important targets, at commanders and at those who carry torches to the siege towers. The heat, lack of water, and unfamiliar food begin to affect the soldiers no less than the siege itself. At the moment, the soldiers of the infantry brigade find themselves at a dead end. They are defending a Muslim city from a Christian army, although no one gave them such an order. No one from the command of the brigade gave the command to enter this conflict. Everything happens by itself, in the course of events, and each day makes retreat less possible. In the darkness, drones and thermal imagers do not always help to distinguish one medieval army from another, because both sides of the conflict are dressed and armed practically identically by the standards of modern technology. An Egyptian army was marching to the aid of Jerusalem, but historically it was late. By that moment, the city of Jerusalem was already completely captured by the Crusaders. Now the city holds out much longer thanks to the American Brigade. Reconnaissance drones are the first to notice a cloud of dust on the horizon. A huge Egyptian army is moving north to lift the siege from the city. And now the Egyptian army manages to come to the aid, while the Crusaders are still standing under the walls, exhausted by the unsuccessful assault. Now the Crusaders find themselves squeezed between the defenders inside the city and the approaching army outside. Godfrey understands that he has no more time. Either a new assault right now, or a retreat before the Egyptians cut off the way back to the coast. Nothing threatens the city anymore, and no massacre occurs. The city remains under the control of the defenders and the American Infantry Brigade. The Crusaders have to retreat and admit their defeat. The Kingdom of Jerusalem, which historically appeared after the capture of the city, simply does not arise, because the entire subsequent history of the Crusades changes completely. The brigade remains in 1099 forever. There is no connection with the modern world, and there never will be. Over time, the soldiers become part of the history of this city. Local residents for a long time tell each other about the iron warriors who came at night and saved Jerusalem without a single stroke of a sword. Months pass. The first weeks after the victory seem like the simplest part of the whole story. The assault is lifted, the Egyptian army has left, the city is saved. But very quickly it becomes clear that the real problems are only beginning. Ammunition is becoming less and less. Every bullet, every battery for night vision devices, every accumulator for drones is now valued literally its weight in gold. There will be no more supplies. Everything that the brigade has is what they manage to bring with them from the future. The command takes a difficult decision. Most of the equipment is transferred to storage mode. Drones are launched only in the most important cases. Thermal imagers are used only at night. Training shootings are completely prohibited. Even ordinary lighting is tried to be turned on as rarely as possible. Local residents gradually get used to the presence of the Americans. At first, they are afraid to approach the walls. Then they begin to bring water, food, and simple gifts. For the people of the 11th century, these soldiers look like guests from another world. Their weapons are louder than thunder. Their vehicles move without horses, and their devices allow them to see through the night. Gradually, people are found capable of translating at least individual words between the Arabic language and English. Communication remains difficult, but no longer impossible. Over time, a new problem arises. Many soldiers begin to understand that they will most likely never return home. At first, no one wants to talk about it aloud. Everyone hopes to find an explanation for what happened. Everyone waits that one day a way to return back will appear. But months pass, then years, and nothing changes. Some military personnel begin to create families. Some leave the army and remain to live among the local residents. Others continue to carry out service on the walls of the city, as if they are still waiting for an order that will never arrive.
Jerusalem itself begins to change. American engineers help to repair the walls. Military medics treat diseases that for local residents often turn out to be fatal. Simple knowledge about hygiene, food storage, and clean water gradually spreads through the city. People do not understand all the science standing behind this knowledge, but they see the result. Mortality decreases, epidemics become less destructive, more children survive than before. Meanwhile, rumors about the Iron Warriors spread throughout the Middle East. Some consider them angels, others sorcerers. Third are sure that this is a secret army of God himself. Pilgrims, merchants, rulers, and scholars begin to come to Jerusalem to see with their own eyes the people capable of killing enemies at a distance at which it is even impossible to make them out.
But gradually, the inevitable happens. Modern weapons begin to go out of order. First, the javelin missiles run out. Then the mortar ammunition comes to an end. Through the years, night vision devices and drones begin to break down. There are no spare parts. There are no factories. Specialized tools are not available either. One after another, the technologies of the 21st century become useless. And then the most amazing thing happens. The Americans have to learn to live in the 11th century, just as the people of the 11th century once tried to understand the technologies of the future. Through decades, the last working samples of modern weapons turn into relics. They are no longer used in battle, but are stored as symbols of that day when several thousand soldiers changed the history of a whole world. And history really changed. The Kingdom of Jerusalem so does not appear. The First Crusade ends completely differently. The entire subsequent history of the Middle East goes along a new path. And all this happened because of one event. Because of one American brigade that one morning woke up not in the 21st century, but in 1099.